Well, hey, good evening to all you beautiful folks out there in internet land. We are glad to have you joining us for our weekly update here on a Wednesday evening. Good to see Len. Len, you're always the first one on here. I don't know if you get on here to check the feed or what, but welcome this evening, sir. Peggy, it's good to see you here this evening too. I see that you and Don will be staying in your respective buildings here for Thanksgiving. I know this is a difficult time of year where we would love to be with our loved ones, and it's really a struggle when we're not able to be with the people that we love the most and care about the most. So our thoughts and prayers are with you, Peggy, and with Don as well at this time. Dale, good evening to you. As always, welcome. Glad to have you with us this evening. Kathy, I'm glad to see you here, you and Rich, and a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. Peggy, you asked a question there about Pastor Kelly leading a Thanksgiving Eve worship tonight at 6:30. I don't know Pastor Kelly or where she is at, so I am sorry to tell you I am of absolutely no help on that at all. There are plenty of people that will tell you that I'm not much help for much of anything a lot of the time, so, but I just ignore that and carry on with my life as it is. Meg, it's always good to see you with us too this evening. Welcome as well. Monica, I'm glad to have you with us tonight, and we are also thankful for you and all that you do around here with promoting mental health. And mental health is a big challenge for so many this time of year. I learned a new phrase last week. It's related to mental health. The phrase is micro grief. I'm not sure who coined it or if it's a real thing or not, but the idea was that all of us now at this time in our lives with COVID going on are experiencing micro griefs. In my case, one of them would be that I can't travel to see my parents. Many of you can't travel right now to see the people you love. My parents are well, there's nothing wrong with them, there's no emergency to go there, but just the fact that I can't travel creates an element of grief. But what happens over time with something like COVID is that these micro griefs, these tiny little elements of grief, they build on top of one another. They're not just there and go away or another one comes along beside it, they build. And it can lead to many folks dealing with depression or anxiety or fear. So, if you're suffering from micro grief right now, it might not be deep, real grief. Share it with people you care about. Let them support you. If you're struggling with mental health this time of year as the days are short and we're not able to be in community as we would like to be, and we as people desperately need to be with other people, reach out. There are helplines out there. NAMI has a helpline. There are suicide helplines out there. Don't be afraid to reach out. Hey, Jenny, good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my dear, as well. I'll be home for dinner shortly, but as always, glad to have you here. Len, you're retracting messages according to the feed now. So anyway, we have a few announcements for you this evening. Don't forget, we do have outside the door here on Bloom Avenue our care kits. If you haven't driven by to pick those up, keep a couple of those in your car. If you're out and about and you see somebody on the street corners looking for help, you can give them a care kit. I think it has granola bar. I'm not sure what all's in this one. Soap, toothpaste, that kind of thing. Some of the basic essentials that can, just help make somebody's day. If you don't feel like passing money out the window to them, it's just a nice way to say that you care and that you do want to make a difference in the world. Also, our mitten bin. We don't have a mitten tree this year. Obviously, the mitten bin is sitting out there, so if you want to drop those off, we'll make sure that those get to solid ground in the Marie Sandvik Center as well. We did have, I mentioned it on Sunday, but we had a great blanket drive on Saturday with just over 120 blankets being dropped off to be shared between Marie Sandvik and solid ground. So that was just great too. Also, our stewardship campaign is underway. If you haven't pledged yet, we would really encourage you to do so. Our hope was to wrap things up by the end of November, which would be Monday. But as of today, we have pledges totaling $184,000 out of our goal of $300,000. So we still got a ways to go, but we also know that some folks haven't had a chance to get their pledges in yet or are unsure about what their 2021 budget would look like. But if you haven't got it in yet, we would encourage you to do so. Also, starting next Wednesday with Advent, or Wednesday night, weekly Wednesday night update, we'll have a special focus that I'm calling Unwrapping Christmas. We will be exploring the Christmas story and some of its cultural elements around it. So next week we'll be starting with the birth of Jesus and the manger scene, and what is a manger, and where was Jesus, and who was with Jesus when he was born, and asking some of those kinds of questions. Also, the pandemic has forced many changes in the way we do church. We obviously have not been able to be together in person since May. But not just worship, but it's impacted Sunday school, it's impacted our Wednesday night youth group, it's impacted our Wednesday night dinner, our kids programs. It's had an impact on the way we're doing our newsletter. We've switched to a weekly newsletter. So there have been a lot of changes, and with the COVID numbers continuing to climb as they are, unfortunately we anticipate that this will be the way for at least the foreseeable future, probably at least for several months to come into the spring. So what we've done is we've put together, I shouldn't say we, I wrote a couple of the questions, but the office staff, Len and Sheila, in cooperation with the other staff, have put together a short survey asking for your input and feedback so that we can continue to adjust our approach and be as effective as possible as a church in reaching you guys, giving you what you need at this time during this pandemic. So we ask that you would watch for that in your inbox. We hope to get that out to you on Monday. And we'd invite you to complete that survey and get it back to us right away. Also, a couple of prayer requests that have come in this week that we probably know about from Sunday as well. But I want to keep the Hunt family in prayer after the unexpected death of Chuck Hunt. They will be having a funeral service on November 27th. It will be family only. There will be a few spots for church folks if they want to attend, but that needs to be by RSVP. So if you are interested in attending that, please do reach out to Dave or Sue Hunt about that. I spoke to Dave Johnson yesterday about his dad. His dad seems to be doing okay at the moment in hospice care. He says his dad's got a goal of making it to his 90th birthday, which will be coming up the first week of December. So keep Dave and his dad and the family in prayer as well. We had been praying for Ethan Holstrom. Ethan is Stacy Hunt's son, Dave and Sue's grandson. He had an appendectomy, and he is home and doing well now. We'd also been praying for Beth and Annie Brostrom's niece, who had been battling with COVID. Good news is she is now over COVID, and all the other family members are healthy as well. So we want to keep them in prayer and keep the other folks that are battling with COVID and other illnesses in prayer as well. Hey, Audrey, I see you've joined us this evening. Very good evening and a happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Audrey. So glad to have you with us here online tonight. You may know that Andrew is asking for folks to come and share some Christmas thoughts with them, but here's his offer to you.
Greetings, First Presbyterian
Hello.
Church, White Bear Lake. It's Andrew.
And Steph.
And Evelyn. And as you can see behind us, we have our Christmas tree up already. Like many families in this time of COVID, we're just making the house a little bit warmer and a little bit fuzzier and more cheerful. Maybe not fuzzier, but cheerful this year. We wanted to introduce an idea called There's No Place Like Home for the holidays with First Presbyterian Church, White Bear Lake. And the invitation is to just share some part of your Christmas or holiday tradition with us. It could be a favorite carol, it could be a favorite story, or maybe it's a song that's doesn't even have to do with Christmas, but that your family sings it as a fun tradition. Just to participate, if you could create a 2-minute video or less and share it with the office. Likely you'll need to share it with Google Drive or something similar. And then we'll put them together and share them out with the church. So we'll all have a little bit of time at home, but together for the holidays. We miss all of you and can't wait till we're together one more time. And we just wish you the most blessed Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks to Andrew and Steph and Evelyn for planning to organize that. If you read the newsletter today, you'll know that the deadline for getting your pieces into the office is December 14th. So, so in by December 14th. That would be great. Thank you. I want to share just a brief thought for this week. It's this. Most of my life as a Christian has been an equal mixture of learning and unlearning. Learning God's ways and unlearning the culture offered by the world. When I think about that, and to be honest with you, I've no idea what the source is. I have it in my Evernote system, and I don't have a source for it. So if you're wondering who said it, I have no idea. It's not original to me. But I've been thinking about this a lot over the course of my lifetime, to be honest with you. But I've been thinking a lot about it over the course of the last few months. This idea of our faith being a mixture of both learning and unlearning. Back in the fall, not this past fall, a year ago fall, I did a series of sermons called Let's Get Political, if you remember. And one of the focuses of that series was Paul's statement to the church in Romans chapter 12, where he says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." In other words, there are things in this world that we have to unlearn. But what I find all too often for Christian folks is that they try to take their faith and make it fit with what they already believe about the world. And sometimes we're eager and keen to learn about our faith and learn more about God and Jesus Christ, but we're less inclined to want to have to unlearn the stuff that God might call us to unlearn. So I would just encourage us that as we move now into the season of Advent, into what is the Christian New Year, right? Christianity has its own calendar that begins on December 1st. It begins with this season of Advent, a season of preparing our hearts and minds for the coming of the Christ child. Not just the coming of the Christ child the first time round, but the coming of Jesus Christ again when God's kingdom is fully consummated. In fact, it was several hundred years after the birth of Jesus that the church actually took Advent and Christmas to be a time of reflection on his birth. Historically, it was always a reflection and a time of preparation for Christ's coming again and the full establishment of God's kingdom. So as we think about that, as we think about what it means for us to be followers of Jesus Christ in the world today, we have to learn what it means to be a disciple of his. We have to learn what it means to be a citizen of God's kingdom. But then at the same time, we have some unlearning to do. We have to unlearn the habits that this world has taught us that get in the way of loving people the way God would have us love them. We have to be able to set aside those cultural artifacts that continue to tell us that we as a certain people group are somehow better or more deserving than other people groups. We have to unlearn that our position of privilege is in any way a right that we have rather than a gift that we have. We have to learn that God calls us to consider others better and more worthy than ourselves. So I just encourage you over the course of this coming week to reflect on not just what you have to learn to be a Christian, but what are those things that you have to unlearn as well. Folks, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Sometimes in our lives we feel like it's hard to find things to give thanks for. We're missing loved ones. Tomorrow will be the first Thanksgiving that our family has celebrated without Jenny's dad being around after his passing in April. But we won't be able to gather around the family table where he would typically have sat at the head. And so we will miss that. But there is much in life that we can continue to give thanks for. Yes, we may not be with loved ones tomorrow. We may be all alone by ourselves. But God's grace is with you. God's peace will guard your hearts and your minds. So I just encourage you tonight or tomorrow morning to think of a few things in your life for which you are truly thankful for, and hold on to those right now. May God's peace be with you, and we'll see you on Sunday. Folks, take care, and God bless. Peace.